I found a beautiful nail set on Pinterest and decided to recreate it with my own twist. Let's go through the process together. Today's video is going to be focused on nail art, but as always, we're kicking things off by grabbing the essentials. After that, we'll pick up a few extras that'll come in handy later on. This will include some sponges, the nail decorations for today, solid 3D gel. Later on, I'll explain why we need polygel. Last on the list is rhinestone glue. Here is everything we'll be using for today's set. I always start nail art with some acetone for gel cleanup, and I like to keep it in this dish that has a built-in brush cleaner at the bottom. For tools, we'll mainly be using a flat brush for cleanup, a liner brush for detail work, and a few dotting tools. I already had this set on before, so there's a layer of top coat over it, and since it's the perfect base nude for today's design, I'm going to just buff off the top coat to give the new gel something to stick to. Today's nail design is a recreation of this beautiful set I found on Pinterest. I believe the original artist sells these as press-ons on Etsy, so I'll leave their link in the description so you can check them out if you're interested. We're starting off by laying down all of our base colors. This gorgeous orange shade is from Beetles and it's going on the ring finger. I'll go ahead and cure it for 60 seconds. Then add a second coat for full coverage. Next, we're using this hot bubblegum pink for the middle finger and the thumb. And of course, I'm cleaning up any gel that gets on the skin as I go. Now we're going to add some French tips to the pointer and the pinky using this beautiful blue shade from Beetles. Some people like to use the TV method for their French tips, but after a lot of practice, I can usually freehand them pretty easily. However, if you'd like a separate video on how to get clean French tips the easy way, then just let me know in the comments. Base colors are on, and now it's time for some extra detail. The yellow and purple shades are from Beetles and the pink is from Rosalind. I'll be using a sponge to slowly build up an ombre effect. This technique takes a few layers to really show up, so I'm flash curing each layer for 30 seconds in between coats. At this point, I felt that the blue color I used was a little too dark, so I mixed in a bit of white to lighten it up. And the white I used is from Model 1s. Then to blend it, I used an ombre brush to transition it smoothly into the purple. Once I was happy with the design, I went ahead and cured it and repeated the same steps on my pinky. I am using a thin top coat from Rosalind in place of blooming gel on my thumb, middle, and ring fingers. On top of the thumb and the middle finger, I'll add a big drop of light pink in the center. And on the ring finger, I did a drop of light yellow. And once I was happy with that, I went ahead and cured it for 60 seconds. Here's what we're working with so far. Now it's time for the fun part, the art. I'm starting with the Model 1's black gel and using a liner brush to create tiger stripes on the ring finger. There's no real science to this, I just draw some funky Y shapes and fill in the spaces with random lines. The best part about this design is that it doesn't need to be perfect. Once I'm done with the lines, we'll cure that for 60 seconds. Next, we're moving on to some leopard print on the pointer and the pinky. I start by placing pink dots randomly around the nail and then flash curing them. I'm leaving some space at the bottom of the pinky for later. Now I'll go in with black to roughly outline the pink dots and create that signature leopard print look. I also add a few random black dots to fill in any empty areas and then cure for 60 seconds. To tie the whole design together, I'm going back to the bottom of my pinky and adding a few more tiger stripes in the empty spaces. And once done, I'll cure for 60 seconds. Now we're moving on to the middle finger and adding a light pink outline. You want to keep this line as thin as possible, and in hindsight, I probably would have gone back and made mine a bit thinner. That said, going slow is the best way to keep your lines clean and straight. You'll notice I rest my pinky on my other fingers to stabilize my hand. That makes it a lot easier to control the brush. I also occasionally move the nail itself instead of my painting hand, which really helps when you're trying to get crisp, clean lines. After a quick cleanup around the cuticle, I'll go ahead and cure that for 60 seconds. Now I'm grabbing my solid 3D gel to make flowers on my thumb and my ring finger. I take a little bead of it and split it into 5 small pieces. On my ring finger, I place them in a star shape and use a silicone tool to push them into the shapes that I like. You can make them more pointy, just like the reference, or keep them rounded like I did. It's complete personal preference. Once I like the design, I cure the flower for 60 seconds. Now we're going to go ahead and repeat the same process on my thumb. Next, I'm taking the hot pink I used on my thumb, and with an ombre brush, I'm going to paint the edges of the flower on my ring finger. I also go around the edges of the flower with a liner brush to help define the shape. I'm going to repeat the same steps on the thumb, but this time I'm going to use the orange shade from my ring finger instead. Then I go in with some small black dots around the edges of the flower on the thumb. For the ring finger, I use white dots instead to create a similar effect. Once that's done, I cure for 60 seconds. I decided to add a bit of extra detail to the thumb using rhinestone glue to create a little bubble accent. I flash cure each one as I place it to keep them from spreading out. I also added some 3D elements to the ring finger, but unfortunately my hand ended up blocking the camera, so I cut that part out. A lot of people have trouble getting their charms and gems to stay on, so I had to share my secret, and that's polygel. I just take a small amount and place it right where I want my gems to go. Then, using my favorite top coat, I float that over the polygel. This combo locks the gems in place and keeps them secure for as long as you need. For this set, I'm going to be using these pretty pearl gems. I carefully place them where I want and then go ahead and cure for 60 seconds. With this technique, a top coat over the gems isn't necessary unless you're worried about flaking or discoloration. That wasn't an issue here, so I left that out. I always finish with some cuticle oil to rehydrate the nails, and now we're officially done. Thank you for watching. If you're into nails and want to see more content in the future, feel free to subscribe so we can hang out again. See you next time.